We are gearing up for the start of the 2024 Columbia football season. Hello, everyone. Lance Medow with you here on GoColumbiaLions.com, and it marks the beginning of a new era, none other than the debut of head coach John Poppe. Coach, it's great to see you. Looking forward to delving into your expectations for the start of the season. Let's start since we last spoke at your introductory presser. You've put in a lot of hard work, spring workouts, training camp. What was the training camp experience like? What did you hope to get out of it, and what did you ultimately see from the squad?
It's quick and long, right? You know, when we start probably 2 to 3 weeks after everyone else, it's a late calendar year for us. So just like we are eager to start our season, we were eager to start training camp. And we had a huge population of young people here this summer that were doing internships, working, and sacrificed to be here. So we had 60-plus guys that were running our offense, defense, special teams, and creating a chemistry that we hope provides the catalyst for success this season. And that really carried over into training camp for us as coaches, made our lives tremendously easier, from installs and coaching the finer points of the game or the offense or defense or special teams, when these guys were working on it all year on their own and taking advantage of the time being together. So it's been an awesome training camp. It's been physical, it's been fast, it's been competitive, with guys taking care of each other in the right situations, knowing we got to be playing for Columbia, not necessarily against offense and defense. And that's really been exciting to see how these guys have taken ownership of those competitive drills to get us prepared for this coming Saturday.
Speaking of the makeup of the team, when you have a new head coach, continuity is not a term that often comes to mind because you're bringing in new staff, but I think continuity actually applies to this group. You have 9 returning starters on defense, 8 on offense, all the return specialists on special teams. How beneficial, how much of a luxury is that you're bringing back so much talent from the previous regime?
It's huge. It makes, again, takes another thing off our plate as coaches. Worried about, have the guys been in this situation or that situation? We have guys that have been in every single situation, whether, on the positive side or the negative side, right? Where a lot of close games were lost, whether overtime or last drives, and now you have those guys that understand what it truly takes to win a football game, right? And what we did a year ago wasn't successful. So how do we change that? How do we build on that? And I think Coach Stovall and what his staff as a defense have done is tremendous in terms of educating how to operate under those crucial situations. We've tried to, as an offense, create and recreate situations that we've already seen in college football, and we're just growing this team together in a sense of, okay, you've played this play, you've played this play, you've played against these guys, and now let's find the right situations for each guy to be successful to help this team be successful. So the experience has been crucial.
You referenced Justin Stovall, top 10 scoring defense last season. It's nice to have that group back. So the newness is more on the offensive side with Saitu Smith. What has he brought to the scheme, and what are you hoping to see identity-wise out of the offense this season?
He's just brought tremendous knowledge of offensive football and the game in general, right? He's obviously extremely intelligent, being an Ivy League grad himself and student athlete. He's been in the NFL under one of the brightest minds in football, and Kevin Stefanski, right? He's also been at Yale and won 2 championships as an assistant coach the last 2 years. So I think he brings an element of football education to our team that is going to make us stronger, make our players stronger. He brings a championship mindset, knowing that he's been a player and a coach in 1 championship. So there's an immediate buy-in that he has seen what it takes to win this league, knowing that you rewind, Yale's lost their first Ivy League opener. How did they come back from that, right? And I think that type of education is crucial for our players and how they're growing throughout the year, knowing that 1 loss might not mean the end-all, be-all. And watching Coach Saitu develop the quarterback position, his first time really coaching that position outside of Brown for 1 season, he's done a tremendous job growing our quarterbacks and getting them in a position where they can be difference makers for us.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the quarterback position, because that's basically maybe the elephant in the room. Everybody's chomping at the bit trying to determine who's going to be under center. Chase Goodwin, who was on the roster last season, small sample size. What jumped out to you in terms of the evaluation process about what you saw in him, and what was the ultimate difference maker as to why he secured the job?
Yeah, with Chase having a spring, as opposed to Cole, who's a transfer and could not compete in our spring practices, comfortability in the offense, but I think there was a natural command, their presence that he brought as well, that Cole has too, but it shocked me, going through spring ball to see him take ownership of this role. And really that last half of spring ball just was truly effective and efficient with the football, knowing where to place it when, right? Reading coverage, reading blitz, reading pressure, adjusting protection when necessary. I think that's really shown to be the difference maker for him and where he's at right now as compared to Cole in just knowledge of the offense and the ability to make sure we're as efficient and as effective as we can be.
The quarterback also is such a critical leader within the confines of the team. What have you seen out of him, and how much has the team responded to what he's selling, John, given the fact that he already had been established on the roster last season?
There's just a growing confidence, and he's earned the right to be trusted just based on what he's done in practice and based on how he's competed, based on how he's shown up in the weight room, off the field with community service, or in practice in competitive situations. That really has stood out to the team and myself and the staff, and we expect nothing to change with Chase's leadership ability in terms of, I got to challenge this guy in this moment. I'm going to get his butt a little bit, and then knowing when, hey, to pick somebody up. That's a teammate that's maybe having a tough day or had a tough drop in a competitive period. Hey, get the next one. And it's about getting the eyes back to the sideline to get the next play, and we'll worry about it later. And I think that's been really special to watch from Chase.
So that is the ins and outs of some of the storylines to watch in terms of Columbia's side of the equation. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll preview challenge number 1 as Columbia collides with the defending Patriot League champions, as you are watching the John Poppe Coaches Show on GoColumbiaLions.com.
This is an epic, action-packed, adventure-filled story of Athletic Brewing's revolutionary non-alcoholic beer and the founders behind it.
I'm Bill.
And I'm John.
You see, this is no ordinary non-alcoholic beer. These are great-tasting brews that are fit for all times. And they all started with a crazy idea.
Why can't there just be an amazing non-alcoholic beer that wouldn't affect me the next day?
And one that actually tasted great?
Oh, wow. That's a great idea.
And there you have it. Just 2 totally delusional people.
Welcome back to the John Poppe Coaches Show. Lance Medow with you here on GoColumbiaLions.com as we gear up for the season opener between Columbia and Lafayette. So, Coach, let's look ahead to this first matchup. It's a rematch from last year's opener. Number 1, how much do you look back at the 24-3 loss and the takeaways that you bring to the table in terms of what needs to be tweaked from that matchup?
It's really just looking back at was personnel driven. Like who do we have coming back, especially when taking the job and evaluating our roster, and how do we make it better with recruiting and knowing, okay, what do we need to do to make the team stronger based on our returning personnel. Takeaways are just that they have great perimeter players. You see it a year ago, some of the numbers have changed, but not the faces, right? And that's what stands out through 3 games, that they are led by perimeter explosive plays and a dynamic running back and awesome quarterback who is an offensive coordinator on the field. He knows where to go with the football and when, and they have done a great job in recruiting and developing their offensive line with another All-American up front for them. So this is a tough task, just like it was a year ago. Maybe a little bit more unknown Lafayette at the time, and now it's known. There's a reason why they're 14th in the country, and they do a great job pushing tempo, in my opinion, in certain situations and getting a line fast to put pressure on Coach Stovall and the defensive play caller to get plays in so we're aligned and at least can line up and play and be effective, as opposed to, which I've seen on film already, defense is looking at the sideline, not sure what to do. So the biggest takeaway is we played them a year ago. We should know what to somewhat expect in terms of their ability. And now can we fix the things from a fundamental standpoint, to my eyes, that stand out from a year ago in terms of taking angles to the football and just proper tackling technique.
Now, the other challenge I would think, and you've experienced this having been in the Ivy League, is the fact that you're starting 3 weeks after them and they've already played 3 games. So how do you navigate that, especially since they're so run heavy and you're going to have to tackle and the fundamentals are so important? Finding a way to close that gap essentially is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, we've done our best we can with simulating games, right, in terms of tackling each other, having live drills, and making sure our defense is getting work at that. We spent a lot of time on fundamentals in the early part of practice to make sure we're getting repetitions at taking proper angles to ball carriers, whether it's an inside-out tackle, meaning we see the small numbers, or we see a profile tackle and we see the big numbers. And that's really all you can do. And now you hope we start off and we're comfortable and confident right off the bat. And we're not going to let this moment get too big for us, and meaning our hearts are pumping into our chest a little too hard, right? Too much. And knowing the experience we have, I don't think that's going to be an issue with this group. So I'm excited to see these guys go out and play. And the fact that it's their 4th game, our 1st game, who cares? We're ready to play, and we're going to do the best we can to execute our jobs.
Not to belabor the point, but from a logistical standpoint, how much dialogue, John, have you had with the other Ivy League coaches that perhaps it may be time to revisit the structure of the Ivy League schedule and build in a bye week or something so that you're not playing catch-up essentially with some of your early season foes?
If there's conversations, I'm not a part of them yet, being a newbie maybe. So we'll see what happens after this season. If there's more conversations regarding bye weeks or extending seasons, this is the first time in my 13-ish years in the Ivy League that we've started week 4. It's usually everyone's week 3, which everyone feels better about. Not great, but better about. And This is just an awkward calendar year, and we're going to do the best we can with it.
If you need me to help navigate the politics of the meetings, I'd be more than happy to give you a little bit of a helping hand in terms of my experience.
Next time you're in.
There you go. I will campaign on your behalf. I'm a call away. Not a problem from that perspective. Getting back to the X's and O's in terms of what Lafayette brings to the table, you mentioned the fact that the quarterback is back, the running back is back. They were very successful on the ground, over 200 rushing yards, and it seems as if that philosophy is what they're bringing back to the table. They've scored nearly 100 points in the last 2 games. How much is this a really good opening test, John, for your defense in helping to set the tone?
It's a great test for everybody. I mean, they're a complete team on special teams, offense, defense, but offensively, obviously, it drives their team. And again, whether they're running or throwing, I think this is a true RPO offense where the quarterback is confident enough, experienced enough that if you take away this, I'm going to do this. You take away that, I'm going to do this. And so how can we manipulate his eyes to force him into the bad decisions? That's what really we need to do a great job of, where I felt Buffalo, even though they're FBS, I think they did a great job manipulating his eyes and forcing some bad decisions. And that's what we need to do and replicate, and that's the goal.
Especially since Dean DeNoble, who you're referring to, completing over 70% of his passes on the young season. Let's circle back to where we started. Here it is. Saturday comes, your first opportunity to be out at Lawrence A. Ween Stadium. It's the 40th anniversary of that structure. Can only imagine the emotions right now that are going through you, but how amped up are you to put your stamp on this football program?
I'm excited to be back here. I really am. And I've said this multiple times that this is home for my wife and I, where we got married and we had our daughter as an assistant coach here at Columbia, and obviously my dad and brother's ties and other family members' ties. That's just really exciting for me to have the opportunity to lead this great football program, and I'm excited for what our young people can accomplish and the people that have truly supported us in this, this fight to come together here on Saturday.
Well, I can tell you the coaches show, the initial one, is always the biggest challenge for any coach, John. So you've passed this through with flying colors. It's going to be relatively easy and smooth sailing moving forward. I can assure you that, 100%.
Well, we'll see. But I appreciate it, Lance, and this is awesome, and greatly appreciate what you do for us.
100%. Looking forward to the opener. It's Columbia against Lafayette. Sean Fitzgerald and I will have the call. It's a noon Eastern kickoff. You can watch on SNY as well as ESPN+.